Hello, today I have the pleasure to interview Ryan Porter, the founder of Fatcow Skincare. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on
Hello.
the show.
Great. Can you tell me a bit more about you, please?
So myself personally, I'm 31 years of age. I live in the northeast of England. I've started this little tallow brand. Started from my home, done it all in my kitchen to start with. And then we grew quite a lot over the past 18 months, I'd say. We moved out into a bigger unit, and then we've just secured an even bigger unit. Hoping to expand the team over the next coming months. And yeah, I had a bit of a background in some other online businesses before I launched Fatcow Skincare. So I had a brief education on how to sell online, how to create brands, stuff like that. And then there was a few different things came into place, and then I launched Fatcow. So it's been a bit of a crazy journey. We've had some
Yeah,
great people
that sounds
join.
exciting.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. We've had quite a few people join along the way in terms of like yourself. I know you promote the products, and
Yeah.
quite a lot of other ambassadors. Yeah.
Mm. And so you've been on the online space for a while, but what motivated you to create Fatcow Skincare more specifically? Because I understand it's a personal story behind this business.
Yeah, so there is if quite a few different things came into play. There was never one decision where I thought I'm going to create Fatcow Skincare today. Um, so growing up, I had a lot of skin issues myself, mainly eczema, sore skin. It turns out it's quite common actually. After launching this skincare brand, I've realised how common it is to have these skin conditions. But I always struggled with finding like a natural alternative. Um, the doctors put me on steroid creams, hydrocortisones, these horrible creams that are not a long term solution, basically. So as I was younger, my mum would put me on, try and put me down a more natural route. We tried like Aveeno, E45, which are like they market themselves as the natural alternative, but they're not really 100% natural. And as I got older, a bit of self education came into it, and I went down different rabbit holes, learning about different ingredients and what our body actually really needs. So I had tried these creams on myself, tried them on family. I released a video not long ago, and I was going into about how my nephew had some skin issues, and it was literally day and night with him. We were trying all these different ingredients, and then I came across tallow, and I created some tallow skincare. I had great success with myself, and then I tried it on my nephew, and it was a very quick turnaround. So then I decided to like test this and give it to like bigger audiences and more friends and more family, and just the feedback was fantastic. And like I mentioned, I had a bit experience in selling and branding and creating online like websites and stuff, but I had never really fully committed to something. And I thought, this is something I'm actually quite passionate about, and I can like incorporate my own personality and my experiences into the actual brand. So it was like a great fusion of like finding and creating a product that actually generally works, and having that experience to be able to create a brand around it. And obviously, if you're creating a product that actually works and people love it, it's so easy to create a community. And I think that's what's been the driving force towards our
Mm.
success.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really like your product. You introduced me like literally to your tallow skincare product because before I'm mainly carnivore meat based as a diet and lifestyle, but I hadn't I'm making my own, or I was making my own beauty product before, so very in control of what's going on. Not that I have
Mhm.
skin issues, but I'm really aware of all the toxins that you can find in everyday skincare products. And yeah, someone reached out to me and asked, if I wanted to try your product, and I was like, oh my God, that was a bit fat from a cow, okay, but
Yeah,
I eat it, so if it's good for my body internally, that must be good, on the
yeah,
surface of the skin. And I was
exactly.
super impressed by the fact that it was really moisturizing. but not leaving like a greasy sensation afterwards when you use some kind of natural oils. And yeah, and the smell is, even the unscented products are really, I mean, they're not smelly. It's just different from, when they added a lot of perfume, or
Mhm.
fragrance, but it's not really. So I'm really really pleased that someone reached out to me. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. So when did this adventure start? You mentioned like 18 months ago. So did you start actually 18 months ago, or was it a bit before that?
Yeah, actually, I say 18 months ago. I've just checked the calendar there. In fact, we launched our first sale was on the 10th of October, 2022. So I've just
Happy
realised
anniversary
we're
then.
coming up to our second anniversary or our birthday or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, how funny is that? Yeah, so basically, we had started, and initially the hardest part is obviously with tallow, it's not a new fat because it's just as old as cows, but it's not very well known. So there's been a lot of education as
Mhm.
well into creating this brand. Um, the whole start of the brand, I was just constantly sharing education on why it's good for us, how you can use it. Luckily, like over the past 12 months, especially, there's been a huge growth in interest, especially in the UK. But yeah, we started the journey 2 years ago now. Like I say, we started from my kitchen at home. And it's so funny because I look back at the memories through my like photos on my phone, and I look at the days when we were doing maybe 10 small tins a day, and I was filling them up and I would share it to Instagram and I'd be so proud. And now I look at today, I've just left the unit there, and we're doing maybe 500 units just in the morning. It's like the
What
growth
is
of
a
the
unit?
business. A unit would be like one product. So I think I've actually got a
Okay.
drawer here. So this would be one unit. And
Okay.
we're doing 500 to 1,000 of those in one day at the moment. So the growth of the business
Wow.
has been amazing.
So you're still involved in the actual production. You don't delegate to someone else and you yet, I guess.
Well, yeah, partly. So one thing I would never do is outsource the production of the product. I think it's very important that we can keep that in-house and we can always keep an eye on the quality that we're producing. We do outsource a lot of the business now in terms of fulfillment. Um, there's a few different areas, but the most important part is, the quality control, which we'll always keep in-house. I'm bringing team on now. There's currently just me and William who work in-house. So William does a lot of the production and I'll jump in and give a hand when I can. But the growth over the past, I'd say maybe 3 months has been really, really big. And especially coming into the last end of the year, we're going to get even busier. So I'm now very
Mm,
active in finding another pair of hands to come help.
that's great. Can you tell us, oh, we've already mentioned products and units and everything, but perhaps you should tell us about the specific products you offer and their unique features. I mean, we mentioned that it's tallow based, but can you tell more about the features, the other features, I should say?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, it goes without saying, tallow is our hero ingredient. Every product contains tallow. That'll be like the main ingredient, and then we add carrier oils or different waxes and stuff to create different products. So we have a body cream, which was the original product, which is tallow and jojoba oil. The reason we add a carrier oil is because otherwise you've basically got a rock hard block of fat, as you can quite imagine. So ideally we want something that's got more of a luxurious feel to it, and you can scoop with your hand, you can spread it on your skin. So we add carrier oils, but we make sure we pick good carrier oils that are a lot more compatible with our skin. So tallow is almost bio-identical to the own oils our skin produces. We then selected jojoba oil because that is also a very, very close replica. So these two oils mixed together create a lovely, creamy, luxurious consistency. We call that the body cream. However, you can still use it on your face. You can use it head to toe. And we then also have a face cream, which we have mixed with sweet almond oil instead of jojoba oil. The sweet almond oil is high in vitamin E, which is good for cell turnover, good for wrinkles, age, and skin, which is primarily why people would use it for a face cream ingredient. However, again, you can use it all over your body. There's no one purpose for any of these products. We also have a balm, which is similar ingredients, but it also includes beeswax, which creates more of like a barrier. So, you've got your colder weather coming, your skin's going to get more cracked, a bit more sensitive when you're outdoors. You can create a longer lasting barrier on your skin. We also have 2 different soaps. So we have a body soap, which is just pure tallow. And that's quite an interesting one because people are like, how can this be soap? It's just a block of fat. But it actually goes through like a certain chemical reaction, which saponifies the structure of the tallow. That's a whole nother discussion. We could talk about that for half an hour. But you've basically got pure tallow, and it's in form of soap, so it cleanses and it cleans. We also then create another face soap, which is the tallow mixed with castor oil and activated charcoal, which the charcoal purges any impurities out of the skin, so that's good for a face. What else? We've also got a deodorant stick. Now, the deodorant stick, I must admit, is the one that doesn't actually have tallow in, which people are quite shocked to hear. And that's because in the early stages, I was on the fence about whether I'd just focusing on tallow or not. And I decided, maybe it's a bit too early, that I wanted to just be a general health brand. And I released a wholly natural deodorant stick. And then about a week later, I decided to pull it because I switched again and I thought, I just want to be tallow. And then I was flooded with emails. People were angry that I had actually pulled the deodorant stick away. So, there was a lot of requests to bring the deodorant stick back. And so it's the only product that is currently in the range that doesn't contain tallow.
Okay.
And that is fully natural, contains a bunch of different butters, arrowroot powder, bicarbonate soda. And the whole idea of that is to let your body actually sweat, because we should sweat. People think, well, you should clog your pores and stop sweating, but that's totally not how the body should function. And then the bicarbonate soda also neutralizes any bacteria which causes any odor. And then we have other products we plan to release down the line, but I suppose that's maybe it's for a bit further on when we have more help.
Yeah, that's not for this year. So, given tallow is the main ingredient and it comes from animal, how do you ensure an ethical and sustainable sourcing of your tallow?
So the great thing about the UK is we do have very, very high standards in regards to animal welfare. We've probably got the highest in the world. Certainly, it's I think it's quite well known actually. If you look at the way production happens in the US, they're allowed to do a lot more in terms of like hormones and antibiotics. But luckily, the UK is very good when it comes to animal welfare and the way animals are reared and treated. We have a direct relationship with our suppliers. We used to source from like small independent farms. So when I
Hmm.
first started, I used to get from this very small farm up in Scotland. It was maybe 3 or 4 hours away from where we are. But as the business scales, you're sending them messages and like, can I get more tallow? Can I get more tallow? And then it didn't take long for them to be like, look, we've got none left. We can't give you any more. So then I'm reaching out to other ones and other ones and other ones, and then you create this network of suppliers, and sometimes there becomes a break in the chain. They can't supply this week, and they can't. So then you're like, your whole business is dependent on an unreliable chain of suppliers. And then luckily, I was actually reached out to by someone who was part of the food chain who supply a lot of the supermarkets in the UK. So the likes of Waitrose and some of the other big names that actually independently reached out to me and said, look, we've got access to this distribution network, and we understand that you're probably using quite a lot of this product. As long as you can hit our certain order quantities, we can provide you with pure tallow, grass-fed, British, high quality. So obviously there was a lot
This
of
is
discussion, and there was
amazing.
I was really, that was the one thing that pretty much enabled us to grow the business. If we didn't have that network, it would have been a pretty hard battle to manage to scale the business. But we order it in pallets, so we get like half a ton on a pallet. So we're ordering in like tons and tons of tallow a year at this stage. But yeah, we have very good connection with these with this supplier. This supplier obviously has a network of different farms, but yeah, we have a good relationship. I'm actually planning on going down and visiting before the end of the year, just to be able to keep a good relationship and a lot of transparency, so I understand where everything is from and the welfare is good. Yeah,
Yeah, amazing. Uh, yeah, great sourcing. I mean, it's perfect. It means that you've inspired other people
yeah.
to use better product. That's amazing. Have you have you actually encountered some challenges in the skincare industry because it's a bit of a new market?
Yeah,
I mean, you're
certainly
probably
will.
the first one to introduce. I mean, I don't know many other brands who do tallow skincare in the UK. So for me, you're the first and biggest uh,
Yeah,
yeah, brand.
yeah, certainly not the first. There was others in the UK
Oh,
doing
okay,
it, but at the time when we did launch, I done a lot of research into who our competitors are. Is there a demand for it? You don't want to create a product when there's no demand for it. And what
of
I
course.
discovered that there was demand, but there wasn't as much supply. But at the same time, just
Mm,
because the demand, is there enough demand? You've got to kind of realize. Um, so there was a lot of creating demand. We had to create demand through our education. Like I mentioned earlier, we had to post a lot on Instagram to educate the different benefits of tallow and
mm,
why it's good for the skin, why it should be used for sensitive skin and all these different issues. And luckily, with the power of social media, it's very easy to get a message out. Sometimes it can be the wrong message, so that's why it's important as a brand to be honest and be transparent and be true to your message. Um, but
mm,
yeah, there was certainly a lot of difficulties in the early stages. However, with the growing trend that's happening now, it all starting to feed into itself. So our growth has resulted in a lot of other brands joining the industry and creating their own tallow based products,
mm,
which I totally encourage, because at the end of the day, the sea's only going to rise and all our boats are going to rise together. I think that's the best way we should look at it. We should all be helping each other to help it grow more awareness. Because ultimately,
mm.
if we're all providing a good product, everybody's winning. And the
Yeah.
quicker we can allow people to understand that they don't have to suffer through skin conditions and use things like topical steroids, the better.
Yeah. So the skincare industry itself didn't wasn't too hard on you. You didn't get like, I mean, the other
Um,
one, like the vegan movement and these kind of
oh
things.
well.
That's what I had in mind when I asked the question. I mean, it's great that you got like, raving reviews and everything, which I
Yeah.
expected because otherwise you wouldn't have grown so much in 2 years. But
Hmm.
I'm like, there is this movement which definitely is like a bit too much and, in my
Yeah.
opinion, way too controversial, but it's very noisy. So,
Oh,
but you made
very
it.
noisy. Yeah, we do get a lot of vegans and vegetarians coming at the brand, but they're not directly causing any issues with sales or marketing. At the end of the day, they are the ones that are in the comment sections and they're just making themselves look a bit silly. I don't respond to
Mm,
these comments. I don't retaliate. At the end of the day, if you want to waste your energy and leave these negative comments, that's fine. You do you. Yeah, I've got too much
yeah.
going on to sit and argue in the comment sections.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's great. So you've mentioned that you were not the first brand to hit the market, um, but you're definitely a big market player now. So how do you differentiate your brand from the others in this tallow skincare market?
Yeah. So one thing we've really focused on, which I always kind of thought was a no-brainer, and I thought all brands should be doing this, and it's just focusing on unscented options and minimal ingredients. I would say minimal ingredients first, and then unscented options come as a result of minimal ingredients. So a lot of brands are like, oh, okay, we've created talent. Now, how do we need to mask any smell? We need to add all these different essential
Mm,
oils, add these extra carrier oils. Um, a lot of them are like, okay, we've got a powerhouse ingredient here, tallow. What other powerhouse ingredients can we add? And they'll add another 5 ingredients. Let's just keep it simple. The whole point in simple skincare is so that you can reduce what different ingredients you're putting on your skin. And the fewer, the better.
mm,
So now we've got tallow and we've got jojoba oil. We've got tallow and we've got sweet almond oil. You're going to have a pretty good idea whether you're allergic or sensitive to one of those ingredients. So that's the best way to be able
mm,
to track your skin issues, is completely reduce what ingredients you're putting on your skin. You can go pick up Nivea off the shelf, and the chances are you're going to be putting 25 to 30, 40 ingredients on your skin. What if you're reactive to one of those individual ingredients? You're then going to turn around and say, I'm allergic to Nivea, but maybe you're not allergic to Nivea. Maybe you're just allergic to this
mm,
chemical compound that they've put in. So the whole idea is we strip it back and we just do as few ingredients as possible. Then if we find people like a certain product, we'll then start to introduce scents or smells through essential oils, cold pressed natural essential oils.
that's great. And how did you come up with those smells, those fragrance? Did you have an
So
idea, or did you listen
yeah,
to the market? I want flower, I want something more for men.
I listened to my girlfriend actually. I must
Oh,
admit,
she's the one. Okay.
yeah, I must admit the smells have never been my strong point. I think I get nose blind very quickly. So if I think one
Mm,
day, okay, let's come up with a new smell, let's come up with a new woodland profile. I've smelt one essential oil, I've smelt another, and all of a sudden everything smells the same. I've always like struggled with that. And then I was telling my girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, well, why don't you just try and keep it simple? Men are most likely going to like a woodland smell. Females are most likely going to like a floral, and then you can do a citrus for someone who just isn't sure. They want more of a neutral scent. And we released those 3 scents, and people really like them, especially the citrus. The citrus is the biggest seller by so much, and it's my favorite actually. It's the one I'll always use. But we do obviously have products like the deodorant stick and the soap, which we don't have any smells for yet, which is certainly something I know I need to get around to doing. Maybe I should just keep it simple and
okay.
release a citrus soap or a woodland soap or a floral soap.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I mean, you've explained, that that's your specific way to do things is to reduce to the maximum. So, without any fragrance, so that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I said that at the beginning, but honestly, yes, at first the smell of tallow can be a bit surprising, but it doesn't last. I
Yeah,
mean, I love your soap, and okay, at first it's like, okay, so it's not very like flowery or whatever, but then as soon as you finish the shower, you don't smell like tallow or anything, and you forget the smell. So it's
yeah.
just like, I mean, the incentive is for me is really good, and I've got a very strong sense of smell,
Hmm.
and I don't think it's that bad. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
I
it's
no,
just like, okay, you've
I
got to get used
understand.
to it. But
Yeah,
once you're used to it, it's just like, okay, it smells for maybe 1 minute and then you move on.
yeah.
And
It's
and even if you
definitely
use the scented product, it's the same, you smell the product and then it goes away. So it's not like, and that's why sometimes I'm so amazed at people who just like want to try everything and to find the best smelly perfume or whatever, and I
mm.
just it lasts for 2 minutes and that's it.
All I was going to say is everybody's nose is different. So,
Yeah.
like I say, after I've used a lot of these products, I don't really smell anything anymore. Whereas my girlfriend can use the soap and she'd be like, I'm not using that soap again. Whereas I use it, I'm like, I don't even smell anything. But it's like everybody's
Oh,
experience is different, you know.
really? And what
Yeah.
about the black soap? Does she
So
also
the
find that it smells? Because for me, there is absolutely zero smell to this one.
yeah, so with the black soap, obviously there's far less tallow in it because we add castor oil as well.
Okay.
I think it's about a 50-50 split between the tallow and the castor oil. And the reason we add castor oil
Okay.
is it creates more of a lava, so you get more bubbles. And I thought if you were using it as a facial cleanser, you're going to want like a lot of suds to apply to the face.
Mm,
But yeah, there's no smell on the charcoal one, and of course
yeah.
there's charcoal is in it, and I think that kind of neutralizes it as well.
Yeah. And now, can you tell us the story behind the name, the brand name, Fat Cow? I love your logo and I love the name, and I'm being a bit curious now, so I hope you don't mind.
No, of course not. I must say I love the name. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Um, like I've explained previously, like I had a little bit of experience with branding and a bit of marketing and stuff, and I knew like a brand name should be descriptive. So, you know, you should say what it is and it should kind of like tell a story itself. So obviously it's cow fat, fat cow, cow fat. So that
Hmm.
was that covered. I wanted something that was going to be a bit of like a talking point. So, you know, you could turn ahead. So, you know, if you're talking about fat cows in public, someone might be eavesdropping like, you know, what they're talking about kind of thing. Um and yeah, I just wanted it to be sharp, quick, and memorable. So I think personally that I've covered all those bases. And actually, you know, I probably spent quite a while thinking of this. It's probably took the longest part of the whole production process in the initial stages was coming up with a brand name, coming up with a branding and a tone of voice. So I think what people often forget is a brand should have a personality. So you can come across as very corporate or very straight to the point, but it's harder to relate to a brand like that. Whereas I try to think as me personally as being the brand almost. So I try to be in a lot of the content and a lot of the videos, and I try to get my personality into the tone of the voice.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for this interview, and best of luck for your launch in the US.